possibly the final chapter in what has been an unreal offseason. I mean, just a month and a half ago, we were talking on the Dallas Empire, how crazy it was that they just won the world championship. Clayster is now out the door, 5v5 to 4v4. We thought that was going to be it. We thought that the, kind of big roster overhauls were going to kind of be the headlines moving into year two. And then we've gotten this massive story that only continues to develop, and what possibly could be the final realistic report from this situation may or may have not just come through, as this report was just announced from Decerto Intel that 100 Thieves have purchased the CDL Los Angeles spot. According to this report, Nadeshot and 100 Thieves have purchased the spot from Hex and will be rebranded to the LA Thieves. Now, this report kind of goes on to say that in terms of the Optic Gaming name rights, there was not a whole lot of detail known on that. So the Optic Gaming name, believed now to be controlled by Hex, it is not known currently whether or not he will be allowed to utilize that name of Optic in the CDL. He may have to keep the Chicago CDL team as the Huntsman. And so this kind of ignites a pretty interesting conversation, because there was a report, I guess it was maybe this time last week, from Esports Talk, essentially kind of discussing the CDL, their involvement, and how possibly with Hex having essentially the name of Optic now under his control again, as he bought the CDL Los Angeles spot. Again, that's not confirmed. You kind of get where we're coming at from this. But essentially with having this name, it was reported that the CDL would not allow for the Huntsman to be rebranded. It was announced that Optic would not be allowed to rebrand. Obviously with the new franchise coming in, that changes things. Does that change here? We don't really know. So I feel like if you are Hex in this conversation and you are having difficulties with the convincing of the CDL, which I don't think that's, if there wasn't a report about it, I don't think this would even be an issue, to be honest. The only reason why I'm addressing this is because of the amount of reports that are indicating that the CDL is not allowing for this to take place. I'm letting you know now, I don't know anything. I really don't. But this is just my opinion on the way that I see it. So I feel like Hex, in this hypothetical conversation, he sits down with the CDL. He's got leverage here, right? He's got more than enough leverage to really deal with in this moment. You have Optic Gaming, right? The most popular brand in Call of Duty history, right? Now under the ownership of the person who created it all in the first place, right? And if you are in this situation, you are thinking and saying, hey, well, wait a second. Optic, if it doesn't get utilized now, if it doesn't get thrown back into the CDL, it's simply going to sit in the back of Hex's pocket, right? It's never going to be used in the CDL, or it's not going to be easy to utilize it if you don't use it now, right? It would mean incredible things for the CDL. It would mean incredible things for Call of Duty if Chicago Huntsman became Chicago Optic. And you're thinking about this from a lot of different perspectives. But if you're looking at this from the league's perspective as well, which I get, the business side of it, I understand the idea of not wanting to just rebrand, team names willy-nilly. It's not a great look. But what is a great look is the team that you are rebranding it to. And now, more than ever, is the best time to do this, right? The brand, it isn't well established in terms of the Chicago Huntsman. At least it's not as well established as it could be. So if there was ever a time to kind of get rid of it, or at least to push it to the side, now's the time, right? Now is the time to lock it away forever in order to ensure that the Optic name can continue to progress. Again, Huntsman, fantastic branding, great name. However, it falls in comparison to the name of Optic and what that means for the ownership of the team that controls it. So again, I think when you're in that perspective, you're looking at the Chicago Huntsman brand and you're saying, hey, it was a great run. And I feel like if the franchise is willing to sacrifice it, and it's not just the Chicago Huntsman who sees the benefit, the CDL sees the benefit because of what this is going to do from a fan aspect as well. We talk about the possibilities of what this brand is going to mean for the future. We talk about, what this means for every team in the CDL. This could mean more viewership. This is going to mean a bigger spotlight, right? A team who faces off, if we're talking about, baseball or basketball, if you face off against the Yankees, It's not the worst thing in the world, right? Maybe you're getting put on live TV. You get the chance to be in a spotlight. If you beat them, what does that mean for your brand? Obviously, you can look at it from a competition aspect and say, hey, they're getting bigger than us. They're growing their fan base bigger than us. But at the same time, right? You've heard this quote: "A rising tide rises all ships." I think I said that wrong, but you kind of get the point, right? You get the way that this is setting right now. I think in this situation, it makes perfect sense for the team to be rebranded. And to go along with the leverage conversation, he also, by the way, Hex in the situation, just sold the Los Angeles spot to his good friend Nadeshot, who's bringing in a massive brand back to Call of Duty, right? That is a huge story to kind of consider, and it's a massive situation to consider. So if you are the Call of Duty scene, if you are the CDL, not only do you have 100 Thieves back, but you can also get Optic Gaming under Hex back. That is literally the best situation that you could ask for, right? We talk about year 1 to year 2. Obviously, with year 1 of franchising, you have COVID hit, right? You have a lot of different issues. You're trying to transition this league, this massive thing, from LAN to online. We talked about the way that the season ended. It ended on a high note. You had the 330,000 plus viewers, breaking records and having, just a really good championship season, a really good final championship event to cap off what has been a very difficult season for everybody. And so if you are the CDL now, if you are Call of Duty in itself, and you're thinking about getting Nadeshot back, a figurehead, 100 Thieves who were huge in COD before they obviously had to exit before franchising, back in Black Ops 4 under their second stint in COD, arguably the second most popular team, without a doubt, a massive fan base in Call of Duty despite their short stint because of the brand, because of the person behind it. So not only do you get 100 Thieves moving into year 2, a great brand permanently, but you get them in their home market, you get Nadeshot back. Also, right, you get Optic Gaming. You get Optic under Hex. This is the best situation possible if you are in the CDL. If you are in the Call of Duty esports space, this is the perfect scenario. Right? You also kind of get the ability to unite the brand back with the person who created it all in the first place. Optic Gaming has been the storyline for years. We didn't have that last season, right? It was believed this would never be able to happen, and now here we are. Just when people start to forget about it, just when the the hashtags and the notions have finally started to cease, moving into year 2, it's OGLA, it's this different team with kind of a different kind of group around it. It's now totally changed, right? The story in itself, I'll be honest, this story of Hex kind of losing Optic, getting it back, there's nothing else like it. So you are introducing what will be one of the most popular teams in the CDL next season in the LA Thieves. But you are also elevating and reintroducing the most popular brand with the most popular fan base in Call of Duty history all at once, right? As a Call of Duty ecosystem, this is the best possible outcome that you could have asked for, right? You get Optic versus 100 Thieves. That rivalry is introduced back. You get LA, this market now gets to be under 100 Thieves, a great situation. And we talk about 100 Thieves history as well in Call of Duty, which is excellent for them. I know we haven't talked on that enough. The rumor, is that they wouldn't be able to get enough money to kind of invest. But their history, right? We talk about Black Ops 4, what they did during that time. They win back-to-back. They finish second at COD Champs, and how awesome it is in terms of how we've kind of gone full circle here. They beat Optic Gaming in what was Optic's final series under Hex, and a very dramatic and emotional series at what I believe to be the greatest event in Call of Duty esports history, Black Ops 4 Champs. Like I said, the final kind of major event before franchising. And so now, if you're 100 Thieves as well, or the LA Thieves, if that does in fact come about, you also are looking at 2 players that you've had previously in Slasher and Kenny, who've already played under this brand before. So again, LA Thieves will, and I gotta say this too, the LA Thieves for the future, if this brand does come about, will be a destination and will be a top destination for future players without a doubt, right? This is another major player that just sat down at the table. And again, I talked about this before, really in this video in short. I talked about how this would be a major positive for a lot of brands, and it is, right? You're getting more eyes on it. You're getting two major brands, one of them back, one kind of, well, I guess you could say both of them back in COD officially. But this is going to make it difficult for some of these brands as well, because you are having a major person kind of step in, of which that now becomes one of the top destinations. If we're talking about, different vacation spots, this is instantly one of them that guys want to go to, right? It is a great market. It's with a great team, great ownership, who have already had a history in Call of Duty. So if you are one of these brands that, essentially maybe didn't have a great media year, if you're a team that didn't really place all that well, you are in a situation where, hey, there is more viewership potential, but in some cases it does get more difficult because we have a major figurehead stepping back in to the limelight, not including Optic Gaming, of course, but we're talking about, the Thieves in this situation. And I will say lastly, kind of as a closing thought, because we'll continue to talk about this for weeks until it's obviously officially announced, then we'll talk about it even more. But I do have to say, this is the perfect timing for 100 Thieves to break on in back to Call of Duty. And we'll probably talk about this another time. But when you talk about the rumored expansion coming into next season, what that means in terms of contracts, the opportunity that you have, obviously, with 5v5 to 4v4, the players who are obviously available, and I'm not sure if this means that the OGLA players now possibly turning into LA Thieves players, if there is potential for more players to be sought after, if this team is going to kind of ride it out and become the same team, or what really kind of occurs there. But this is the best time for the LA Thieves to break on in before this year of the next year, which of course is to be the rumored year of expansion for the CDL. And again, who knows how many teams that could expand into? It could be 16, it could be 20. Who really knows? But again, I can't elaborate enough how important it is for them to get players locked in under contracts. A lot of guys in year one signed for 2-year deals. So you're kind of thinking about that from an outward perspective. They essentially put themselves in a great spot. They know kind of what to expect after year one. They're stepping into year two. They get the ability to be with great players. They get the ability to kind of test the market, figure things out before we have what are going to be possibly 4, 5, 6 teams, maybe next season, who are going to be major kind of figureheads, if you will. They could be possible future destinations. The player market kind of starts to get spread out a little bit. So again, if you are the Thieves in this situation, you are happy to step in now. But overall reaction from this, it's excellent. Again, if you are a fan of Call of Duty, if you are the CDL, best possible situation, not only to have Nade and 100 Thieves back in Call of Duty, but also to have Hex back under the name of Optic if it does in fact come about. Again, I discussed it. I think he has a lot of leverage in this situation, and I would be very surprised if Chicago Optic is not in fact a CDL team moving into next season. I don't know anything, just my personal opinion. That is what I expect to occur. But boy, oh boy, year 2 of the CDL, man, it's going to be absolutely fantastic.